I just have driven by and I have to.
I think it's gonna be okay.
Truck is
I'm not
packed.
too sure about using the
Pieces
pieces
are all in the trailer. Trailer's all
The what?
strapped.
Well, they want to figure out
tonight.
some. They want to
Yeah,
figure out.
Halloween tonight.
They want to figure. They want.
You all set? Everybody ready to go? Welcome to the Tuesday, September 3rd meeting of the Montpelier Design Review Committee. I will let members and staff introduce themselves.
Liz Pritchett.
Meredith Crandall, staff.
Stephen Everett.
Eric Gilbertson.
Seth Mitchell.
Benjamin Cheney.
We are an advisory committee to the Development Review Board. We will review the applications on the agenda. As a matter of fact, and pass them on to the Development Review Board. And do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Or second,
Second.
whatever.
All in favor of the agenda, raise your hand. And unless anybody has any other comments, we'll move forward to the first application for 12 Hillside Avenue. Tom Taylor and Vicki Kuskowski. You want to come up to the table and describe your
Thank you. And
project?
I apologize. I do not have a copy of the materials with me. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Oh yeah, sorry. Sorry. So I'm Tom Taylor, and I live at 12 Hillside with my wife Victoria Kiskowski. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And so we are embarking on the process of repainting our house, and I was here earlier in spring actually to submit an application for a yellow color scheme, which was approved, and then we had kind of a drastic change of heart about. Without even really starting, we kind of had a complete change of heart about what colors we wanted to paint the house. So I'm back, hoping to get our revised blue and cream color scheme approved. We'd gone with a yellow and cream the first time.
Are these colors representative, or should I go down and get you turned in the actual paint chips, right?
Yeah, I
Should I
submitted
go get those?
That might be good.
That would help.
Yeah, if it's not an inconvenience, because I would say that reproduction is a little different
Okay.
to my eyes.
Be right back.
The blue looks more like an aqua on the reproduction.
I would say, yeah, to me that it's not, the chip is not that, a little less bright, I would say.
Okay.
The darker you go on the base color, the easier it is to maintain the cleanliness.
Right.
Not that it'll be cleaner, but it looks cleaner. The lighter color, if you're near a street, particularly during the summer, the road dust really kills
Right.
light colors unless you're going to hose them off regularly.
Right, and yeah, that was actually one of the factors, or something I learned about the original color scheme we went with. I didn't realize it was actually the base color was, at least in Aubuchon's system, it was one that they actually, just purely in terms of wear from the sunlight, it was one they actually didn't recommend as, or just I guess one that would tend more to change noticeably over time. So I didn't know that apparently blues are one of the colors that are less apt to
That's the actual.
So the blue is for the body of the building?
That's right.
And the-
Yeah.
So Sherwin Williams.
Green
And then the white is the window and door trim, or what is that?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Window, door trim, and eaves.
Oh, I see up there.
So yeah, I don't know if that's, I actually haven't looked at the chip in just a little while, so I kind of forgot exactly how close it is to the.
It's not as far off as some copies.
Did you ever get a small sample from him and literally paint it on the house on the sunny side and take a look?
Yeah, we did. We actually did. We did. We tried that with just painted a very small area with a few blues, and yeah, there were a couple other ones that we tried that it was amazing. Like didn't look that loud from the chip, but even even just getting them on like several square feet, it was kind of like whoa. And this one, to us at least, even after painting a section of the house, I mean, we kind of ended up, when we changed our minds, we decided we wanted something with a little pop, but, you know, definitely not like an electric or something that would look really aqua to, so, yeah, hopefully,
I haven't seen it. Oh.
oh, I'm sorry.
Can I see the chip?
Oh, yeah,
I
sorry
didn't
about
see
that.
it. Thanks. Sorry, I started with Steve. Yeah.
Also, do you have any areas of the house that have any particular issues with peeling or flaking?
There is, this side, although, you know, it's definitely starting to get a bit, you can see from, sorry, we don't have a photo. The side of the house that's, sorry, I'm getting my cardinal directions a little mixed up. This is kind of the south side of the house. And, this side of the house, which gets very little light, actually has the worst. I think it's the side, you know, we're kind of right up against the slope there. And this side gets very little sunlight, and I think it just stays really damp or something. And this is the only side where we have a couple sections with sort of bad, where the peeling is kind of a significant, not huge sections, but.
The other areas that frequently you'll find that it'll chip or peel are outside of kitchens and bathrooms because of the moisture inside trying to get out during the winter when it's cold and dry.
Oh, interesting.
And that'll cause it. And the only reason I ask is a way to minimize that, and there's some special primers that you can put in those areas. And Aubuchon's or Sherwin-Williams, all the paint stores carry them. Aubuchon's has one that's called Mad. It's actually a funny name called Mad Dog. And
Oh,
it's a
I've seen that.
special
Yeah.
Primer, and it'll make your paint job last a long time if you do that in the trouble areas.
Nice. Thank you. Actually, because I had a former coworker who specifically recommended Mad Dog, but he just said it's fantastic, but he didn't specifically say why it's in those like problem areas.
Any places you have weather issues, whether it's up on your soffits and fascia board, you know, near where the water comes off the roof, or on the shady sides of the house, it's really worth using that.
Yeah. Okay. Because I had balked a little bit. I saw that it was, you know, like significantly more expensive than the regular Benjamin Moore primer, but for those areas, like, I would definitely go for it if it would. Yeah, because you can see just in terms of the challenge of staging certain parts of our house, like,
Yes.
I really, we don't want to have to do it.
You want to make it last.
Yeah.
So the fascia, soffit, rake boards, underside of the soffit, that's all the yellow. You know?
Yeah.
And then when it comes to the window sashes, are you doing the sashes yellow or just keeping those white?
Sorry, the sash refers specifically like to the body of the window itself, right? Or
If you have a double overhung window.
Yep.
Which you do on one of the sides at least.
I think we were just those. Yeah, sorry, this doesn't show it very well. We have. They're pretty much all like newer Marvin windows they're like that kind of, it's kind of a gray brown, like darker gray brown color. The window, it's
Bronze.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's so yeah. I don't know. We liked.
It's hard to see the on the screen.
Yeah, sorry. We liked that, so we were just going to leave the sashes.
Are they like aluminum, or are they a metal, or a?
Yeah,
They are,
it's
so you don't need to paint them, really.
yeah, the insides are
really?
paintable,
Mhm.
but the outside is definitely
Oh,
like a
It's a
Flat.
cladding.
Yeah, it's aluminum.
Yeah.
Metal or a fiberglass cladding, one or the other.
yeah.
So you don't need to paint.
So how about the door?
Oh
French
yes.
window and this door, how does that all shake out?
But yeah, those you're right. I'm sorry, we hadn't actually. I think for this back, I think we were just gonna do this. But yeah, that was actually one thing that the kitchen door. Sorry, when we changed our minds, we hadn't really thought about. I mean, I know often the door is a third color, So yeah, I'm sorry, we actually haven't picked a third
Doesn't have to be.
color
Have to be third color.
for the door.
You could either do a darker version of your body color, so it contrasts with the trim color, because all the trim around the windows and doors, all the casings would probably be your trim color.
Right.
Sun. So you could use either a dark color in that same shade, or you could do a dark bronze to match your existing windows.
Oh yeah, that could be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. That yeah, because we really do like the color of the cladding on the windows. So, but yeah, also the idea of a blue that's you mean one that's different enough that you kind of there's
Darker enough
contrast,
that it
but
just shows the contrast,
yeah.
but in the same color family.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I'm sorry. Is it all right if I write on this?
Yeah, that's yours.
Oh, thank you.
You can add notes about the mad dog and everything else on there.
What was the name of that body color? If somebody has the name on the chip,
Give me one
what's it
second.
called?
It is Santa Clara. Number 2.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
So we just said you have the option, that you can give options on the criteria sheet. And an option, your option is to paint the doors a darker version of the proposed body color, which is a Santa Clara, or a dark bronze color compatible with the color of apartment window sashes. Any other suggestions or options? Okay. Any questions, comments, suggestions regarding the proposed colors?
What's it in the option on it, be in there to leave the doors like.
Okay. White or the morning sun.
Curious, what's up with this window?
Oh, yes. Sorry, I should have mentioned, yeah, so that came up last time, and we're definitely, so we're planning to replace that like feather in the clapboards there.
Uh-huh.
But that was, when that window was replaced, like, they ended up just, I don't know why. There was something was done under there, I guess, and that was just how, like, I don't know why the clappers didn't get replaced there.
Looks like it might not, no, it says so that's the sheeting, so it wasn't the door.
Yeah. The porch, the little.
Oh, it what? Thank you. I forgot. Okay, so we've been in the house for about 7 years. So there used to be a deck,
Oh yeah, that would make sense.
and yeah, sorry, there was a deck over the going out from. That was a door. Thank you. I totally not before we lived there. It was when the door became a window.
interested in its funkiness.
Yeah, it's a, you know, it's on the register, but it's non-contributing because
Yeah.
it's been messed with, I think, a little too much, or I don't know. Yeah, we love it, but it's pretty funky.
I just made a comment in the section that frame section will be filled in.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, I meant to, yeah, I think that was came up last time, and that's definitely our plan, because, you know, aesthetically, we don't love that.
I'll run through the criteria. Number 1, preservation or reconstruction of the appropriate historic style of the proposed projects in the historic district or involves an historic structure, acceptable. Harmony of exterior design with other properties in the district. The paint job is acceptable. Compatibility of proposed exterior materials, acceptable. Compatibility of proposed landscaping, none proposed in this application. Prevention of the use of incompatible designs, buildings, color schemes, or exterior materials, acceptable. Location and appearance of all utilities, no change in utilities. Do you have any lights? Is that a light above the triple door?
Yes, that is a functioning light.
And is there one beside the single door on the left?
We don't have a light there. Should we, is that,
Well, what we can do is,
Yeah.
what?
We would need to have the specifications and all that stuff back in the office. That's all.
Could we give them an option to put either an overhead light matching the other one, or a side light,
Yep.
a wall-mounted side light?
Yeah, we would just need to have the cut sheets for it.
okay,
Yeah, no, you can do that because it's single family home, so never mind. Yeah, they can do that.
so we should, because, sorry, you're saying because that's a requirement, or?
No, it's
It's just-
an option.
It's an option.
Oh,
It's just
okay.
something that they can approve here so that you
Oh,
don't have to
awesome.
come, because it's something on the outside, you don't have to come back to design review to then add the light as long as you do it
Oh.
with lifespan of the permit.
Thank you, that's great. So we could.
And it makes sense if you're gonna be painting and dealing with
Right.
the clapboard, adding new clapboard in other spaces anyway. You
Right.
May as well cut the whole,
Right.
that light in if you want a light over that. That's the kitchen door, right?
This is actually a weird little, like, separate side room that's, at one time, maybe it was part of the kitchen, but, like, now it's kind of its own weird little mudroom, but,
But it makes sense to have a light over
yeah,
the door.
I mean, absolutely. Yeah, so thank you. So you're saying you're able to kind of
Yeah.
approve that as part of, yeah.
Normally, what you would do is you could either put something overhead, or you could put like a little side light here.
Little sconce.
A little, either a sconce or like a little, a black color or something that, looks nice beside the door. And usually you put it, if the knob on the door is here and the door opens that way, you put the light here, because then the light switch would be, as you open the door, the light switch would be immediately on your right.
Right. Nice.
And you
Yeah.
can also use, they make them now nice side lanterns with a motion detector. So
Oh,
you
nice.
basically leave it on, so when you come home at night and you walk towards the door, the light automatically comes on.
Nice. And the wiring, like doing it on top or on the side, is kind of the same deal. I mean.
Well, if you do the light on this side, on the outside, the switch is on the inside, somewhere down in here. And you, depending on if you have basement underneath, it's easy to bring a wire up inside the bay to your switch, and then up inside the bay to your outside light.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
I'll just say optional light, the side, left side, single door. again, depending on the vintage of the house, you can find something pretty easily that's compatible with that.
The one that's over.
With the age of the house.
Oh, right, right.
And lastly, recognition of and respect for view quarters and significant vistas, including gateway views of the city and State House. Probably not applicable at this location. With the options and the fill-in for the clapboards, all in favor of the application, raise your hand. And I'll get you to sign this one. This copy on the lower left above my name.
Thank you.
You have a pen? Oh, good. Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much to all of you.
Good luck with your project.
You can
Thanks a
take-
lot, appreciate
don't
it.
forget to take that, and if you can
Oh,
take the pen.
yeah. Oh, yes, sorry.
Nope, that's okay.
And yeah, thank you
For the visit.
for all the good ideas as well.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay, for the next application for 60 Main Street. Welcome back.
And you can grab that
Thank
chair and
you.
start over.
This one okay?
Yeah. Just a reminder to make sure that whoever's talking has the microphone pointed at them as best you can. Sure.
And again, now that we have enough people, I will have to recuse myself from a vote as I am participating in creating the sign. I just want to say that.
Okay.
What's that? What else? Well, we've been discussing having me get all the letters cut out and screwed to the building, so it feels like that should be publicly said before.
We're doing a
Okay.
good job.
And introduce
Oh,
yourself.
we know, we're very.
And introduce yourselves again.
Hi, I'm Talia Stoneroff. I'm an architect here in town and architect for Rabble Rouser.
I'm Jacqueline Reiki, and I'm one of the co-owners of the business, Rabble Rouser. Thank you all.
I'm Bill Kaplan and the landlord.
And describe your
Sure.
new application.
So we're happy to be back with you all. The sign has been re-envisioned to really capture what Rabble Rouser Nutty Stuffs want the building to say about their space. So it's really about it's about clarity, about making it as clear as possible for the people walking down the street to know exactly what's going on inside. It's a really multifunctional space, so it was important to them to make that as clear as possible so everyone would understand what was everything that was happening, and there's so many things that are exciting inside. So we are proposing to do individual letters, simple aluminum individual letters that have a bit of a standoff, so you get a shadow behind them. There's quite a bit of contrast with the back, so it's easy to read. Each letter is 2 feet high, and we did precedent research within the town to make sure that that was within what was normal for the letters. We found that many letters in town, you have those numbers.
31 was what we were seeing in several applications.
So it's actually quite a bit smaller, even though it's, it has a boldness to it than many of the signs that are existing in town. And then on the side that you can see, this came up at the last meeting that you all brought up and recommended, and we really liked the idea, so we moved forward with that of recognizing that, in fact, that alley is street frontage, and so that should also be able to have that signage. So we have just the simple logo on that side, and then the idea of street signs in a way going down on the left there saying Florist Chocolate Spirits and Espresso, again just highlighting what's happening in that space.
Can you talk just a little bit about how this is laid out, how people get to the floors, the chocolate, the spirits, and espresso. It's all one big space.
Yeah, it is all one big space. And we would love you to come visit anytime. It's open. Please come in. You come in the main space, and to your right are couches and a bar to sit at and work in the windows. There's a lot of activity and excitement in the window. We're trying to just enliven that whole street, that part of it which was empty for so long. Straight in front of you is a beautiful display case of all of the chocolate confections, and please jump in anytime if I'm not. And then there's a beautiful bar made of local white oak, and then also a local stone as another part of it, where you can sit and have coffee, or you can have a drink, or you can have a melted chocolate drink, or baguettes. So that's another area. And then the other part of the street frontage, this storefront here, that has a beautiful florist in it, and she it's a separate business, but it's all sort of being run as under one register. And then in the back, there's another area for standing and having drinks, and there's sitting area, and I think that covers it. Then we have a wall that is the only thing that bisects the space at the back, and behind that is where all the chocolate making is happening. So there's a whole factory happening back there, which is really exciting. And then, of course, the bathrooms at the back right, one that's ADA.
I apologize, I wasn't at the last meeting when it came. I couldn't come, but I know there's some large signs in town, but this strikes me as being really oversized. And we've lost, the sign band isn't defined, it's all a black paint. So that there's a distinctive sign band on the building, and I think some kind of a border would help.
It is, the sign band is the existing sign band that was there, and we just painted it to have something be more cohesive, the whole building. And it does stand off, so there's a difference in elevation there. So you see a shadow and material. So this, you're right, this really, I think the print, it washes it out a bit and you don't see it, but you do see a very distinct sign band that you can see if you just look across the street too. I apologize if that's not as clear in the drawing.
This font looks a little different. I mean, it's a little, it's not as crisp, but I like this. I was just curious, is this the one you're using, the lettering? It's a little sort of fuzzy around the edges. You see what I'm saying? Whereas this is sharper.
Yeah, we sharpened it for the
Oh,
signs.
so you go, this is the one,
A little bit of that will be dependent, of course, on what you're the material cutting. So having it be a little smoother is, but it's a classic old typewriter font.
And I'm interested in the relationship between Rabble Rouser and the rest of the businesses here, just for, talking about the sign. I don't care what the businesses are, but for sort of clarity, as I look at this, I'm kind of confused about what it is.
I think that one of the things that happened with this space is that it's a very large space for this town. And one of the things that we worked at in trying to understand how to best use the space is kind of how to do a lot in the space that would actually last. And so when you go in the space, it's very simple design. It's very wide open and simple. And so it is important to have the list of what's happening in there. And the cohesion is, you have gifts, you have chocolate, you have flowers, you have, drinks and things. And it's one kind of community gathering space where you can both socialize, you can pick up a gift, you can have your morning coffee. The idea is that you create places where it's simple, not confusing, relaxing, and can stay for a while.
In terms of the size, we did do a calculation to make sure that it was within what was allowable per the code, the zoning code. And it is, allowable would be 48 feet and 3 inches, and we are at 39 feet 4. So that was certainly taken into account, and I appreciate that comment.
Many other shops in town use their sign ban to describe what's inside as opposed to the business name. Are there any?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we did.
Are there others that do that?
I said,
I thought
are
you
there-
said many do, and I'd agree
No,
with you.
I said, no.
Oh.
I said, are there any
Oh,
other
sure.
businesses in town that the sign ban describes what's inside as opposed to putting their business name on the sign?
The sign band, not just in the windows.
I understand, yeah.
Not the
So
windows,
when you
the
look at
sign.
Walgreens, half the sign is dedicated to pharmacy. When
Mhm.
you look at Aubuchon, a large portion says paint,
Hardware.
hardware, you know, so I think that's pretty common. But, you know, whether the name integrates their use or it also shows ancillary uses in that sign band. We did walk around and look at a lot of that. And many sign bands actually aren't even used. I think that the expense of kind of using a sign band, you know, many have just put decals. I was surprised actually when I looked. There are a
Green
lot of
Penny has nothing on it, right?
there are a lot of just blank sign bands with kind of decals in the windows. So this is kind of taking it back to using the sign band as a side band for signs.
How are you gonna be promoting it as rabble rouser?
Well, it does have, in this window here, it's got
Yeah,
a,
promotion otherwise. I'm
Oh.
thinking about people coming down the street and recognizing that, okay, I found what I'm looking for.
right,
Because, I mean, the signs in downtown, you can't drive in downtown and look at the signs. It's too dangerous. So they're mostly street levels, you know, the observation, and sort of, I think that, you know, the letters just being so big, and it's such a, it's a big sign band, it's not
yeah.
a small one. But I just wonder if somebody walking down the street, on either side of the street, is gonna be able to figure out they have arrived at wherever they are.
I think the street experience, you will see rabble rouser at eye level.
Right.
And I think the drive-by experience, you will be able to see what's going on in the building. And the other thing to be noted is that each one of these letters is smaller than any of the letters that were in the One More Time sign. Those were 31 and 28-inch letters.
They were too large and not approved by everybody who was here. So
I don't
there
know the
was-
history.
there was a
I'm just
lot of-
going by facts.
There was a lot of, that was a mistake. The idea for the sign ban is you don't have to fill it. The idea is to put lettering on there that's classy looking and it's contrast, and it's readable from the furthest distance, which is across the street on the opposite sidewalk.
Well, and to
And
that,
there's a-
oh, sorry.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
Well, just to your point about, you said classy, we've been really focused on quality. So all along the way, there are obviously cheaper things that one could do. There are much cheaper materials that you could use, but throughout this entire process, both Bill and Jacqueline have been really committed to using both local artisans and fabricators and local materials, and
There's no question
we're-
of quality.
Yeah.
It's just design.
Right.
I'm sorry to bring this up. Because normally for administrative permits, for sign permits, Audra usually does a calculation on this. The front sign on the sign band, the total width is 39 feet 4 inches.
Yes, of all the
Okay.
letters together.
So you did, I hate to make you come back, I almost think this is bigger than you're allowed anyway. You did your 80% facade calculation,
Mhm.
but there's a whole separate square footage calculation that's in the figure 3-16. I almost think you have too many square feet, because if you're talking, if this is,
I can tell you what the square feet are, but what, well, I mean, it would take a minute.
anyway, right, but I mean, I think you came out at 4, that's not quite right.
We don't have the square footage marked on here, but I
Yeah.
could figure that out for you.
Well, no, I'm figuring it out right now. I'm just double checking that you're actually complying with this figure 3-16, because you don't have those numbers in here.
Because that's a separate calculation from the 80%.
Right.
Cool.
You're looking at each florist as a separate sign, chocolate,
The one, yeah, well, I
and,
mean,
without the definition of the sign band of any, you're really looking at the square footage as the
I mean, are
size
you,
of the
I think
sign.
we're-
I'm trying to understand what's happening here. Is it that you don't like how it looks? Is that what's happening?
well, there's criteria for the signs, right?
I understand that, sure.
So, I mean, I think one of the ones you're talking about is the harmony of exterior design with other properties in the district at this point.
Yes, incompatibility.
Right, and compatibility of proposed, well, that'd be the exterior materials, right? So, yeah, I think those are the big ones.
Have you seen the cityscape books?
Sure.
I think what we're trying to do is to fully understand the project and why you're doing what you're doing. I've got it, I mean, it looks huge to me. I wasn't here for the meeting on painting in black, but not a big fan of that. So, and that's not entering into what's today, that's a done deal. And I'm just looking at readability, walking the streets of Montpelier, trying to figure out what the business is. And making it sort of, it's.
You mean what the,
it's-
like what the name of the business is?
What the name is, what you can get there, and.
That's what, we're on the same
That's,
page.
yeah, well, I think that's exactly what's trying to be, is like, this is what you can get in here, because it's got a lot of different uses, even though Rabble Rouser is everything except the florist, that's all within the scope of what they're doing.
How high are the letters?
24.
Your square footage is fine, I was just double checking it.
Oh,
When I first-
awesome.
When I first did my
Fabulous.
calculation, I was just like, oh, wait, I think this is way off, but it's not.
Oh,
Great.
That's early.
Normally Audra will have a little note in here or something where she's done the calculation, and it wasn't in here, so I was a little worried.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I guess I'm feeling it's a little confusing too. I guess just because of what I'm used to, that, feeling that maybe the Regal flower designs would be here and Rabble Rouser would be over here.
That was approved before.
Uh-huh.
And that, if you look to the previous application, it just, I think.
Didn't convey your
Yeah,
message.
Rabble Rouser really felt like they wanted to, and I'm not speaking for
that's a
you,
great
but,
idea.
No, that's
you know,
fine. It's
really wanted to
helpful.
say, this is what is happening in
Yeah.
here. You can get chocolate, you can buy flowers, you can, have beautiful drinks with friends, and you can have incredible coffee and croissant and baguettes and
Yeah.
all those things. So it's just,
Well,
it's about that clarity.
Yeah, and I guess to me it seems big too. I like the font, just to me it seems awfully bold, but, that's the message you're trying to convey. I understand that.
Make no mistake about what you can get here.
Yeah.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
So, there is just the one door entryway, right?
Yes.
It's clear that there's only one door. So I kind of see how if you had two different names up in the top, it might get confusing because people might start looking
How do you
for
get
two
into the
doors.
florist? Right, yeah. And when you walk in, there's a rabble rouser sign and then there's a really cool florist sign, so it's clear that both those things are, right there.
Well, there's several businesses in town that have a front doorway and you can go in and it's either split or open for one business on the left, one on the right. Obviously for a smaller storefront, a lot of spaces had to be divided. And I almost like the directional that the previous proposal had with the Regal on the left and the Rabble Rouser on the right. And then with on the windows, putting what each one, like on the florist side, you could do whatever your description was here, flower design, gifts, and here on your glass you could do chocolate, spirits, espresso, whatever else that you had going on there. The sign band's designed to describe a business that's inside. It's not supposed to be a dictionary of everything that you're doing inside. And to me, it's overkill. And I look at it in terms of compatibility, in terms of the criteria. I look at it in terms of compatibility with other properties in the district.
Meredith, do we have a definition of sign ban?
Well, one, just to pull up Google Maps. If anybody wanted to look at it, sign ban.
I think one
don't know
thing
if
that's
we
hard
do.
for us is, what's hard for us is that it's one long sign band, but they're like two separate visual storefronts, and it's just different than what we're used to in our mindset, I think.
So we do have a definition of sign band. It just means the flat horizontal area on a building facade usually located immediately above the storefront and below the second story windowsill where signs may be attached. It doesn't say what kind of sign, it just says sign. It doesn't say like store names or anything like that.
I think there's another reason, it's not just about what's inside, that, and please correct me if I'm misspeaking, that they're choosing to have the name of the business be subordinate. It's that there's a humbleness about this business. This business is about the community, down to every single way they run every piece of it. So it's co-op owned, and there's just this. It's not about saying putting rabble rouser first. It's more about saying, here's this community space. Here's what you can do here. Come join us. And here's the name of our businesses, which is also important. But I think am I right? Is that part of it? That it's really about the community and saying, please come in.
But just
Make
because
it
you
yours.
put forged chocolate, spirits, and espresso I don't read that into that.
I think that I don't know how to express this, but you're obviously having community space. But I don't know how you could tell that from looking at the signs. Maybe rabble rouser is the name of the community space. I don't know.
I think rabble rouser's a great name, and I would think that you'd have pride in that name. You'd want that the largest, because sooner or later people are going to identify you not as the coffee shop or the chocolate shop. We already have a chocolate shop. They're going to identify you as rabble rouser. Because I look at rabble rouser and I think of you. And I would wear that with pride.
That's really sweet.
No further explanation necessary.
Yeah.
I still remember the calendar.
I think
No,
this
you
is
do a great
nice.
job. You have a great business, and I would love to see rabble rouser like you had proposed before.
Like super big. How do you guys like the alley sign?
I like your whole logo here. I think it's really very nice.
Thank you.
See, I think people walking down the street are gonna, I mean, if I'm walking down the street, an eye-level description inside the glass, which you can put anywhere you want, change it anytime you want. Describe, if you add something, you can put another sign inside the glass so that people walking by can see that. I mean, storefronts that do clothing, they put their mannequins, they put their samples out in the glass. So if you're not looking at it, what a description is inside, you see what's actually inside in the storefront. That's your window display. And if you had chocolate, spirits, espresso on the glass as you're walking by, I noticed that more than it would driving by and seeing that up on a sign band. I know you obviously have a different opinion.
Yeah. Do you?
What about the alley?
I think the alley's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I think
It's
that
subtle,
what-
it's readable, and again, its design is to be readable for people walking by. Nobody's gonna, you may notice lettering on the side, but you're not going to necessarily read that as you're driving down the street.
Do you intend to leave the lights where they are?
That was the intention, to use the existing lights. We did want to put one, just a safety light over on that alley side.
We'll need a spec sheet on that.
A
That'll
spec
have to
sheet
be-
on
yeah,
that.
that'll have to be added.
Yes, absolutely. It is noted, but we didn't have a spec sheet yet. But I'm happy to do that.
The light on the side would be over the rabble rouser sign.
That would make sense, I think. What do you think?
I don't think it's worth trying to illuminate the one on the corner of the building up towards the street, because there's a street light there
Yeah.
that lights that up pretty well.
That makes sense.
I'm just wondering too, if people see this and think, well, is it a store where you can buy chocolate, spirits, and espresso? But you also, can sit in there and relax, and there's this espresso bar, and there's, it's not just like a retail
store.
store.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is not really obvious here.
If you're gonna serve like sweets and baguettes and stuff, I think that should be on a window sign or somewhere by the door so people know that they can come in and sit down and eat. Because otherwise you walk by there and,
On the glass, you could have it,
Yeah.
in the area, on the glass in the area where the bar is,
Yeah.
you could have espresso bar.
Cheesecake.
Oh, yum.
I mean, whatever your specialties are, you could put on the glass, and again, as you change that, you can change that.
And I've been seeing stuff in the press about maybe pop-ups of different types of food being served as well, something along those lines, or another, almost a cafe restaurant option in there too. Is that wrong? There've been different articles.
We're working with Cool Run-Ins,
Yeah.
the Jamaican food folks.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a
we're
whole
hoping
nother
to be,
aspect that would be totally different.
Right.
So that is
So
one
how do
reason
you
to think
describe-
about the windows.
How do you describe what they do in your sign ban?
They don't get a place there.
Say cafe, I don't know.
Again, inside the glass, you can change that as things come and go, as you change, as your business moves, as you are in there, and, people make suggestions of what they really like, and you tweak the business to suit the clientele, you can make all those changes inside the glass anytime you want. You can make lettering, put it up there.
So I'm gonna just say this once and leave it at that. I don't mind this. I think it's a little bit oversized. I don't mind this. I think there's nothing that prevents you from doing it. I think that it's, you do whatever you want. I mean, there's no defined use of how that's purposed. I hear what you're saying, certainly, and if I were to do it, I would certainly go that direction as well, but, you know, if this is what you like, my only comment would be to not make it as large, and call it that.
And if they have to come back because they need to change their sign ban, they have to come back. Right?
Well, or could it be that 2 feet or less was approved, as long as it's the same?
Oh, no, I just meant like
Oh.
if you were trying to change, if suddenly you're like,
I
you gotta
see,
change
I see,
the
I see,
words.
I'm sorry.
All right,
Yes.
you gotta come back.
I think you're ready to
You
do
know,
that.
I'll tell you, as someone who's looked at a lot of downtowns in my career and was very hesitant to invest in Montpelier, I think that when I found a group that was as committed and as bold and forward-thinking as this group, I trust their judgment, I trust their business sense, and they are definitely doing things differently. There's no question about it. And I have chosen many times to just sit back and trust their judgment, because they're doing something new, and if we apply old, we stay empty. If we try something new, we hopefully go forward with a really vibrant place. So I'd ask that you approve this. I think it's good for the town. I think it's good for everybody here.
I think it's an exciting space, I do.
Yeah. And I think also to focus just on the sign, to do all the things of communicating what's happening in there is too much to ask of a sign. You know, I think that you go by, you see the space, they've focused on the outside sidewalk experience with plants, you know, seating, other things like that. The glass is clean and repaired and fixed up, and the lighting inside makes it so that it's warm. It's all cool, warm tones. You know, all the lights have been changed over so that it's a really warm, inviting place when you walk by. You don't even need to know what they're doing. You feel like you want to go in.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that to me is
Nobody's
really
disputing
important.
the quality of the space.
No,
And
I'm just,
again,
I'm talking
we're
about the
looking-
sign,
yep.
but I
We're
think
just
to ask the
looking at
sign to do.
criteria that we're supposed to judge an application by. And again,
I understand.
we're advisory.
Yeah.
I mean, whether we approved it or not, you can still go forward to either an administrative
Audra and me.
or.
Yeah. Understand. But I understand the conversation that's happening here. It's different. And so that's all.
And I think that even if you do this, along with Seth, I agree that if the lettering was smaller and they were separate, it would be equally as readable, maybe more readable, because everything's not just sort of fill the entire space. You don't have to fill the entire sign band with letters. Lettering, space, lettering, space, lettering gives it a different feeling than just filling it, the whole space with lettering. And there's some signs in town that are lettering is too large. And not all of them got approved by us.
Mhm.
Again, we're advisory, so it passes along to either an administrative approval
Or not.
or another board, the development review board.
I haven't happened to walk by in the last few weeks, so, can you see that there's seating from through the windows?
Although a lot of our chairs are yet to arrive.
That's the chair.
It's hard to have everything 100% in place when you open the door.
Yeah.
The outdoor seating is here.
The outdoor seating is there,
Just rained too much yesterday.
and the church pews.
I will say that I do see some of the argument of both its size and the fact that it's all capital letters feels a little bit like it's shouting at you.
You don't like to be shouted at?
It's not my favorite, no. And then with like having lowercase letters in the sign, and rabble rouser or whatnot. So there is sort of, I think that's when I look at it, what is coming through to me.
I think there's two kinds of people in Montpelier. One are people that don't look at the signs because they know where they're going. And so they don't look at the signs. Then there's the other people that probably the signs mean more to are the visitors from out of town that are around. There's a lot of people that, Montpelier, believe it or not, has a population of 20,000 during the work week.
Wow.
More than doubles during the day.
And it's, a town of 8,000, and there's a lot of people that are visiting in town, come walk around and see things, so I think you have to be very clear, and I don't think this achieves, it's not part of our review criteria. I don't think that you can be strolling by there and figure out everything you can get. I also don't think you need letters that big and capitalized to convey what you're doing to somebody that's across the street or even down at the intersection of State and Main, walking that way in front of the bookstore. It's not like you're trying to grab somebody out on the very Montpelier Road with a sign.
Yeah, where you're
They're
going really
trapped.
fast. Yep.
I mean, if you want to go ahead with the application as you proposed, I mean, we can go down through the criteria, and I probably would ask for feedback from the committee on each of the criteria, and then we can vote on the end to move it forward.
So that's up to the business.
Well, I think if we can request it this way, it would be helpful to see, where you stand.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I have to excuse myself and ask you guys to hold down the rest of the meeting. Is that okay? Okay, we have a team meeting at 6:30, so I'm the facilitator of the meeting. Otherwise, I would just skip it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay, I'll read down through the criteria. Number 1A, preservation or reconstruction of the appropriate historic style if the proposed projects in the historic district or involves an historic structure. What is I'll just ask who finds the proposed sign applicable or acceptable for 1A?
So,
I'm thinking.
I'm thinking too. I mean, I really appreciate what you said, Bill, and I think it's exciting to be bold, and we don't want to be stuck necessarily in our sort of our old routines. I'll go for it too.
So 2 yeses.
I'm going to say no.
And I'll say no as well. Again, just size, I mean, it's more compatible to do it in your original application, but with this one, with the size of the letters, I'd have to agree with Aaron. So we're.
So do we get
two
2
to
yes, 2
two.
no?
Harmony of exterior design with other properties in the district. Same? Harmony of exterior, C, compatibility of proposed exterior materials.
Could I ask a question? Sorry.
Yes.
In terms of harmony of the design with existing in the area, so I have to assume that that's just based on what it's saying? Because for instance, Down Home has a very similar painted signboard and then letters that are offset, different font, different, what it's saying, but it's a similar idea. And I think that's seen in multiple places of the painted signboard, and then letters, if you're lucky, the letters are nice and offset and metal. Some of them are just cheaper. So is it, I just want to clarify from my own understanding of the design review, is it not compatible because of what it's saying or because of the design?
Size.
So size, so if it was a little smaller, then that might be more compatible. And how big are the down home
I
letters?
think they're 18 inches. I made those.
18 inches.
On a what,
How-
21-foot storefront?
I think
Yeah.
part of the,
But it's a good point,
No, no,
scaling, but I don't know the size of the storefront, but I do feel like the letters were 18 inches.
Yeah.
That should all be in the permit file.
for me, this is such a big storefront. Many, designed originally to have several stores occupying it, that doing it all in a monolith, just emphasizes the size and the extent of it. And that
I
was a
think so,
problem
too.
with the occupants there before. That sign was just big. I think it'd be far better if it was broken up in some ways, so the businesses were defined with some different kinds of lettering. I think that would help my perception. It's a very with the font and the capitals, it's a very aggressive, domineering sign. I'm generally in favor of all kinds of innovation in signs and changes and things being done a little differently, but this is just so overwhelming on that side of the street that I just don't think it fits. And there are ways to break it up without, I think, I'm not a designer, so.
And again, we'll go down through the other,
One just comment per sort of Talia's question is, I'm also doing the sign for One Taylor, which is 24-inch aluminum letters that we approved that say Montpelier. And so, and it's sort of spread out, and it's very similar. Different scale buildings, different location, all those things are
huge
different.
building.
Yeah. But
It's a different,
How
whole
big
different
is the
scale.
sign about?
that is, it's 10 letters, so it's like 20 some odd feet to say Montpelier.
And
This covers nearly 60 feet.
60.
Yeah.
But the size of the letters have to do with, there's very little foot traffic there.
Yep.
Some, but
Yep.
mostly vehicular traffic.
Yep.
And you're also dealing with a transit center that has buses which
Sure.
are 60 feet long.
Sure.
So, it's a different scale than walking down the street
I think
with a
it's
sign.
good at just teasing out like what we're.
It makes.
Comparisons.
And
Yeah.
It makes
clarity
sense
of
there
what
because
has been
people,
approved in the
that's
past.
transportation center, people are in their cars. I imagine there'll be more pedestrians down there when it all opens up.
Mhm.
But, and it's also something that the stranger is likely to be looking for.
1C was compatibility of proposed exterior materials. I don't think there's any issue with materials.
No.
Compatibility proposed landscaping, that was pre-approved, that was approved at the last meeting, so that's not applicable in this application. Prevention of the use of incompatible designs, buildings, color schemes, or exterior materials. And again, E, incompatible designs, buildings. I would, yes on that, or what's your read on that?
No objection.
Prevention of the use of incompatible designs, buildings, color schemes, or exterior materials. Again, my only issue is the design in terms of the size of the lettering crowded into the space, whether it's permittable or not. Again, I'm looking at design. Again, that everybody's opinion,
Yeah.
that's how I interpret it versus the criteria.
So, you're good with it, you're fine. You're
And
not,
I'm
you're
not.
not, and.
I'm all right with it.
Same.
Okay.
Sorry, we've got another one at 7.
Yeah.
We've got 3 more of these, and then we still have to do the sign
Location-
criteria.
Location and appearance of all utilities. There's no change in the lighting for these signs, although there is an add.
Yeah, you'll have
there's
to
an-
come back with the spec sheet, I think.
Sure.
Because
For
we don't
the
have,
other-
yeah,
yeah.
because we don't have any kind of
Or we can
idea
just
of what
cut
that
that
light's
from
gonna look
this.
like.
Recognition
That is
of,
good.
recognition of and respect for view quarters and significant vistas, including gateway views of the city and state house.
That's fine.
Conformance with cityscape placement and design recommendations. Yes on that? What is your?
Yeah, yes, the placement's fine. One observation, if you're sitting here looking at it, is that, and this is a design issue, and I don't know how to fix it, but somehow with all that sign band, this looks crowded to me.
So again, that's a design issue.
It's a design issue, yeah.
So it would be basically the same. Compatibility with such property and adjacent properties. Same.
Wait, doesn't Cool
Okay.
Jewels have those letters are pretty big?
Oh, they are-
Don't go with that
Well,
one.
I'm just thinking of,
Don't go
but I'm
with
just
that.
thinking
Just
about
look
them,
at
you know, it's not,
All the committees
it's
got.
less than that.
Yeah, don't compare
negative-
anything to
negative-
that one.
Negative feedback from the entire community on that one. And I wasn't even in the meeting that approved it. And I'm not sure.
That was years before I took the position, even I know, don't bring that one up.
But it was just
That was
about
a
neighbors.
very
About
I think
neighbors,
that was
right.
just about neighbors.
Subject.
that comment.
Yep, no,
It
I
was
get
a-
Not that it's what we're going for,
Yeah, although
but,
this
you
one,
know.
it's
I'm not
also
sure you
in
want to
comparison
be
to the entire
compatible with a
district,
sign that
not
got
just-
so much negative feedback. Number 4, shall not obscure significant architectural details. It does not. Illumination, not applicable. For internally lit plastic signs prohibited, not applicable. Pennants and banners, not applicable. Individual letters affixed, painted, or engraved directly on the building or structure are encouraged, and that's acceptable. All in favor of the application?
Could we,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Could we propose a straw vote on 18-inch high, if that's acceptable? And then can we then proceed with the actual vote?
Yeah, so a straw vote on if it was 18 inches
18
high
inch letters.
instead of 24 inches high and appropriately spaced out, would that then obtain approval? Is that the question?
Right. I'm just proposing it.
Straw vote, yeah.
I would lean towards that more than the 24.
I would too.
Probably, yeah.
So do you want to request an option of
I-
that instead, or a?
I don't think
or-
we have the ability to do anything
Yeah.
now that Jacqueline's left. I mean,
If,
it's
if,
not.
if it's an option that could
I
be
think
taken
we're
or not
definitely gonna
taken.
report.
Right, as in,
Would you
Not,
like-
not
would you
definitive,
like-
but if it was an.
well, because
you
then
like-
you can come
appreciate
back
it.
and
Then
she
would you
can
like to-
sign off on it potentially.
Would you like
if
to
she's
table it
comfortable.
or just come
Yeah.
back?
No, I think
I
that.
think we need to discuss
I think
it
we
with
need to
her,
do
yeah.
this and get through this meeting and then do it, because I know that it's a team that we're dealing with, it's not just Jacqueline. And I think that people, I think morale and everything of that team operating without a sign and hearing that they can't, that we went to another meeting without getting something resolved. I think that she was very clear when she left that she wants to propose this and
Okay,
see
so-
what comes
so-
out of the
so-
meeting. But I clearly heard that 18 is more preferable. We'll
So,
both
but
talk
the-
to her about that.
It helps me as the person who would be telling Audra whether or not to sign off on a permit. If they all are saying, yes, 18 inches we can do, that gives meal or something to you to go back and you can then talk to everybody and say, hey, would everybody be happy with 18 inches, or do we still really want the 24? That gives me something to work with on deciding how to go forward. You don't, if they don't want 18 inches, they don't have to have 18 inches based on
And
this.
keep on
That'll,
going.
we can wait to issue the permit until you go back and talk to everybody else and
So
figure
it's
out
just a
what-
note that would say.
Yeah, this is a recommendation to
Committee
us.
will approve.
Yeah, committee.
Is there anything for us to do here? I mean, I.
Are you okay with them taking a vote on, we would
Oh,
accept this at 18
do
inches?
whatever you want. I mean,
We
I-
don't, you know, it's a 2-2 tie vote on 24 inches.
As far as signage to on the glass signs on the inside, that's
Right.
Whatever they
completely
want.
up to you.
Yeah.
So they can, whatever, I don't know how much you got up, but you can do that without,
Yeah.
and that's, I think, where the most important part of your signing is anyway, but that's, I'm not an expert on that by a long shot.
You can always have a couple of different votes on here. So you can vote for it as is, and then you can do a vote for it at 18 inches.
Or do we table it?
Hmm?
Rather than table it, we can just
Rather
have
than
two
table it, they
two
don't want
votes.
to table it.
Yeah,
They
so
don't
you
wanna
could do
table it,
either.
so-
Do the 24.
So,
Yeah, if-
based on the proposal, with the 24-inch letters and the sign band, all in favor?
Favor of the, so.
All in favor of this, of the
Of it
whole
as
proposal
proposed, with this size.
with the 24-inch and the sign band?
So
You would-
what's is there another?
We're gonna do two
option?
votes.
Two votes.
We're gonna do two votes.
So what's
Who's-
the?
We're gonna
second
vote.
But the only one
Second
that's,
vote
the
would be
only one
18
that's real
inches
for this
smaller.
group right now, because we have no, the only one that's real that was asked to be voted by the applicant was the 24.
Right,
If
but
you
the-
guys,
It's non-binding.
if you guys want to do a 18, you can do that, you can do a 10, you can do a 4.
Wait, but Bill, my point is, this is not binding on
We're
anything until it gets to
advisory.
me.
Oh,
We're
This is them
advisory.
giving me an
I-
option. If they give me an option that's acceptable to them, you guys can take that option, come back to me, amend your permit, and we don't have to bring you back here.
I see,
I'm trying to make this as
Trying
easy
to
as possible
I
for
see.
you.
Speed this through.
I see. So
I'm trying to
if
make it
they
so you
were to-
don't have to come back to
So it
DRC.
isn't that, I see, so if 24 got approved and they wanted to do 18, they would have to come back and get approval for 18?
Not if we do two
No, I know,
votes.
if we didn't do the vote.
Well, but here's the other thing. If you get it denied at 24 inches and they don't approve 18, even if you shrink it down, you still gotta come back.
Right, I understand.
So I'm trying to
No, it's
make it
helpful.
so you don't have to come back here.
I've never been here and I
Yeah.
feel a little bit, trying to represent someone who's not here
Yeah.
is.
Yes.
is a little-
No, I
Understand
understand that.
My preference for process would be to table that and have you guys look at an 18-inch design and, do a graphic on it and take into account some of the other comments that have been made, if that's what you want to do. That seems like the sort of best way to get to something we can all agree on.
Yeah,
I mean,
they said they don't
that's good
have the authority
procedural,
to
but
table it.
as far as speeding it up for the applicant, I think we could probably, based on feedback, do two votes on a 24-inch letters in the sign band and 18s.
So we vote for one or the other, is that what you're saying?
No, you can
You
vote
can
for
vote for
both.
both.
You can
Oh,
vote for
okay,
both.
excuse
So
me.
you can
Okay,
approve the
all right,
both.
Okay, I get it.
So the first vote will be for this application as proposed with the 24-inch letters in the sign band. All in favor? Raise your hand.
The 24 inch.
As
24,
proposed.
as proposed,
If you
so
are okay
24
with it,
inches.
as proposed.
If you're okay with that,
Yeah, okay, so.
then I'm asking for a vote. Raise your hand if you're if you're
So-
okay with the 24-inch letters.
Okay. But if I would prefer the 18, then.
You can
Okay.
vote for both.
You can vote yes for
It's
both.
not one or the other.
Okay,
You
well,
can
I'll vote for this one then too.
24.
But, I mean, I
Are you
would really
okay with the
prefer
24? No and no. So the vote for the 24-inch, I'll just put it here, the 24-inch sign band letters.
Excuse me.
And remember, this is advisory. This is not, the permit
Oh,
can't be
yeah, I
issued.
get it now.
Okay,
I get it.
just you.
Thank you for the
Yep, I'm
explanation.
just. I mean, we usually go with what the GRC says, but it doesn't always happen.
And based on 18-inch.
Can we say 18 or less in case they want to do lowercase?
Sure.
There,
18-inch or less
it gives you options.
sign band letters. So you could do 18 caps smaller, similar to the rabble rouser, or you could do caps. All in favor of 18-inch or less sign band letters, raise your hand. Nope?
No,
Okay.
not without seeing it.
Right.
3 to 1.
I'm not sure it's gonna reduce the sort of bang in your face some, but it's not the only thing that's a problem, so.
Did we approve the,
Oh, yes, that would be good to.
Yeah, and did we, what about approving was anything?
I have nothing to do with that, so I might,
Yes.
can I
What
vote
about
on
the
that?
Jump in.
alley?
The alley is approved in both cases. The
I-
only difference being the size of the letters in the sign band.
And if these become smaller, would that be okay on this,
Oh,
this,
If they become smaller than they are,
yeah?
On the end?
Yeah, that list on the
that
end.
doesn't seem to be, I mean,
that's not a design issue, that's a,
that's fine the way it is, based on the
No, I understand,
scale
but we
here.
just had a vote that's at 18 or smaller, so I just wanna,
yeah.
It's really a smart place to put a sign right there on the end, so you
Yeah.
don't know what's coming.
And those aren't that large. I mean, how large are those letters?
It's in here.
10, 12 inches?
I think they're 6 inches high and they're about average 3 feet, but they
Okay.
vary based on.
No, I meant the height of the
Yeah,
letters.
6.
The letters are
Yeah.
6 inches.
6
Yes,
inches.
okay.
They're small.
Yeah, that's fine. And again, that's very readable. And again, they're readable as much for contrast as they are for size.
I think those would be readable from cars going by, because they aren't going very fast.
Thank you for explaining all that.
You're welcome. I have to go inside, I haven't been inside yet.
Oh, yes, yeah, dude, that's pretty wonderful.
With Mark. I love her chocolates. Fabulous.
You have to try the croissant, dip it in chocolate. So good. We should have brought croissant chocolate.
You should have
And-
pictures of them up on your windows. People know they're in there and you can eat.
So again, the sign band letters, the 24-inch, the vote was 2 yes, 2 no. The 18-inch, 3 yes, 1 no. And then I've signed down here, and the applicant, one of you needs to sign up here
Or-
above my name.
Or what?
Well, I mean, ultimately, you can also, I mean, one of you can sign, or Jacqueline could sign tomorrow after. It doesn't necessarily.
Well,
Yeah.
I was the official
Yeah.
applicant, so I think it's okay.
You can leave that pen there.
Okay.
Next meeting.
Thank you all for the thoughtful
Thank you for your
Thanks.
patience.
discussion.
Thanks for all your
Feel
good
free
work.
to come down tomorrow.
You'll still let me in for a
If
cup of
anything's confusing,
coffee,
or
right?
if Jacqueline needs to
Okay.
come in and talk.
Great, wonderful, thank you.
No, we wish your business all the success
Yes.
in the world.
Definitely.
I do too.
And your building.
Yeah.
I know what a challenge it is.
yeah, it's been empty for so long.
So we've got about 6 minutes.
Okay, we have the minutes from 8:19. Move to approve. Second?
Second.
All in favor of the minutes from August 19th, raise your hand. Minutes are approved. Next meeting, 9:16. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second?
Second.
All in favor of adjournment, raise your hand. Meeting is adjourned.